trillions will flow into blockchains like Stellar XLM. It's clear they'll be playing a major part in the new financial system, in the tokenizing of all assets. How am I deriving at this? When a number of exchanges are delisting Stellar XLM for some reason or another. Well, I think what we need to do is really look at what all this FUD is about. Is there actual delistings happening? And then conclude on the matter. Because Stellar XLM are dealing with some major partnerships. MoneyGram for one. They're partnering up with a number of banks. The utility is strong, it's there. The blockchain is robust, it's reliable. But for some reason, the price just keeps dropping. And if you've been lucky enough to buy that dip down at around 5 cents for one XLM, well done. But I think we need to dig into the reasons why delistings are happening. And I caught on to this because the price was dropping and I wanted to find out what was going on. What's the reason behind this? And it seems the possibility is because of some delistings are happening through some exchanges, but really CryptoErie put me onto this, so she should be the one really to sort of explain what's been going on. So without further ado, over to you, CryptoErie.
You sometimes have to search outside of the English bubble when you're looking to research on any digital asset. And this particular article was in Japanese, so I'm going to give a benefit of the doubt to the people who said that I was just creating FUD, that this didn't really exist. I'm going to guess that they probably were only researching in English. But it is the case, and the one thing that was not explained is the reason why. So of course this has been, really on my mind, and I'm just wondering why FTX, and it was due to low liquidity. And then there is an Estonian exchange, CreX24. They delisted XLM, big exchange in the United Arab Emirates. They delisted XLM with no reason either. Now, I'm not telling you that it was all bad news. I found that OKX added an XLM USDC pair, and Robinhood in the last 60 days has added XLM.
Thanks for that, CryptoErie. And so, as you could see, yes, there are Stellar XLM delistings, but we're not talking about delistings of fiat currency pairs like USDC, right? In fact, there's more of those pairs coming in, and we're more or less looking at delistings of XLM Ether pairs, and the liquidity is low. There really just isn't seemingly the competition there. So because there's low liquidity, what that indicates is that nobody wants to sell one for the other. They just want to hold them and not trade them. And it's understandable when you're talking about an XLM pair up against an Ethereum pair. Ethereum has proven its point that it could really provide you with a return on your investment. Stellar, I believe, is yet really to do so. We've not seen any new all-time highs for Stellar. And I think with that, the pair isn't very strong. I think nobody really wants to sell their XLM for Ethereum, and nobody really wants to sell their Ethereum for XLM. It's understandable. And if that's the case, exchanges see no point. They're not making any profit out of that pair, right? And what you'll find is oftentimes a lot of exchanges, if they're doing things properly and they're actually doing the exchange and not just providing a digital representation of the token and saying yes, that there is liquidity there, so they create their own IOU and keep your Ethereum or your XLM on custodial storage or some cold storage solution. If that is the case and they're actually trading one-to-one, then they have to keep a balance, right? They have to make it liquid themselves, okay? And what that means is you have to buy and sell one digital asset for the other consistently, yeah? So that you've got a balance, you've got a sort of price range. And then the way these exchanges would make money is pretty much by providing a market making solution, which you'll find on Stellar. It's called Kelp. Pretty good. I've tested it. Works pretty well. But these market makers make their money from the spread, yeah? And so if there's really no spread to be made because the liquidity is so low, then there's no profit to be made. So what's the point in trading that, in actually providing the market making service for that solution? And what you got to understand is, again, if they're doing things properly and they're trading Ethereum, making transactions with Ethereum, buying and selling, yeah. So I suspect that you would have to you'd have to pair Ethereum with the USDC pair to sell off for XLM. I wouldn't. You know, if you look at Stellar XLM, we have this thing called pathway payments, and with pathway payments, to be able to buy a certain digital asset, you may need to go through several pairs to get to that digital asset, to source liquidity to then buy that asset for a specific pair. And so, if that's the case, you've got to imagine that market makers are not making money on the XLM Ethereum pair. In fact, they'll probably be losing money because you have Ethereum gas fees, which are just awful. And I suspect behind the scenes, a lot of these companies get butchered. A lot of these market makers get butchered with these fees because, you know, margins can be quite tight at times. Oftentimes, they are very tight, unless pump and dump schemes are happening. So, in any case, this is what I believe is the reason for the delisting of Stellar XLM with the Ethereum pairs across a number of exchanges. I think the pairs were illiquid anyway. They seem to be illiquid, so they're not doing anything. The trading volume is negligible. But this carries weight over to the Stellar XLM traders who trade Stellar XLM and think, oh gosh, what's going on? This price just keeps going down and down. With the added delisting, you know, you could see why market sentiment would shift even more bearish with Stellar XLM, because people could see, traders can see that, you know what, there's something going on behind the scenes, I don't like this, let's get out. But as the price dipped down to around 5 cents, possibly slightly below, I have to double check that, it got swiftly brought back up to around 9-10 cents, right? Which is a great price right now, believe it or not. But I don't think it's just that that's had an effect on Stellar. I think people are trying to move, traders have been trying to move away from Stellar into a safer haven, something like XRP, maybe even Ethereum. They believe that's a better bet. Binance chain. You know, that you could be seeing that shift because XLM's price really hasn't really been reacting as well as the others. So, you know, you're getting punished more staying in that blockchain. And also, we have to take into account over the last few days is the 10-year yield has really weighed in. And when you look at the 10-year yield, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll see that we created a head and shoulders pattern And if the percentage base points were to rise above that right shoulder, then we can assume that whole pattern is invalidated. I would safely assume that. Okay, that's when I want to say that actually, no, this pattern's not playing out. We should scrap that. The price is likely to move further higher because that is the current trend, right? Say price to percentage points are likely to move further higher, which means that institutions around the world are selling off bonds. They're selling off bonds because they believe that the stock market is a better bet. They'll make more money out of that, and in which case it is right, because we can see that the Dow Jones has gone up, right? Gone up. So investors are taking their money out of bonds and shoving it into the stock market. Anyway, so that's what's been happening with the price. What you have to understand is eventually the money from the stock market will come in to cryptocurrencies, even more so. It hasn't done so as much, but it will do. The price moves up further, cryptos will move up further. It's set in stone. We can see that throughout time and history. That's a fact. However, just be cautious. Okay, dollar cost average down. That's all I can say to you. We may not have a bull run this year. We may not have a bull run for another few years yet for the altcoins. Just understand that. Is it likely? Where I'm sitting on the fence right now, I'd say 60% is not likely that's going to happen, but it could, right? 40% is a big punishing, right? Now, don't forget to make sure you pull your cryptos off the exchanges, okay? Pick up a ledger, a Trezor, in the description below. Keep your assets safe. Keep your assets on your own. Don't rely on these third parties to store your digital assets. That's the whole point of these, yeah? Become your own banks, all right? Use decentralized pools. Now, the other thing is I wanted to mention, Flare are coming into a deciding point where they're changing the voting mechanism. If you've been around and you've had XRP for a couple of years ago now, I think it was, when the announcement was made of the airdrop, you'll find that you are due some Flare. Now that 15% stake should be getting paid out to you. I don't know if it's still over a period of time. I've got to read through the documentation again. But I believe that come, I want to say early 2023, next year, I'd say around January, February, I'll check the documents, they would have decided on what's happening with the airdrop, but you have to participate in either a pool or the protocol some way to make sure that you can double down on your airdrop, what you get. So make sure you do that. It's important because Flare are actually providing XLM as a blockchain where you can mint that digital asset. You can mint XLM on the Flare network. So what we're talking about is interoperability. So you can effectively use Stellar XLM, to store in on their network, and then mint a XLM on the Flare network, which utilizes the Ethereum virtual machine. And so you've got that interoperability across chains, yeah? Which, if Flare are providing some really good utility, some really good dApps you might want to use, then you could do that with Stellar XLM. So, anyhow, I'm Nathan, aka Nathan of Zion. Make sure to like and subscribe. Smash the Zion coin up there. Check out the next video. Not sure what it's going to be on yet, but check it out anyway, because it's going to be something useful to do with Stellar XLM. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day now.